Welcome to Isometrics Explained and how they can help your tendons and ligaments, as well as how we can make this premise more accessible for those of us with visual impairments. I'm Evan, the blind strength coach from caneandablefitness, and today we're going to talk about some exciting new research that's been done talking about isometrics, holding different positions at certain low intensities, and just how well that can help your tendons and ligaments recover. We're going to talk about briefly the research, how to put this concept into place, and then follow it up with a complete follow-along, audibly descriptive workout that's going to be very beneficial for your hips and ankles, but mostly centered on the problem area of the knees. If you would like to learn more about this stuff, go ahead and check out the links in the description. We're going to have some people who have done this when it comes to rock climbing, the actual researcher, Dr. Baar, who looked into these isometrics, as well as his entire podcast appearance on the Ferriss show. So now, what are isometrics? Isometrics are simply a static contraction. Think about when you're doing the top of a bicep curl. If you were to hold that dumbbell or that weight at that peak contraction and just hang out there, that is an isometric contraction. And what we're able to do is we're able to load tendons appropriately by just stringing out that isometric contraction and helping the tendon load itself, not just where it's strong, but also where it's weak, and ask for that area to be recovered. So it's going to be pulling in different collagen and vitamin C and all these good things that are going to help it recover. There's some really cool research. Again, check out the links below if you want to know more about it, but that research has shown that these isometrics can do wonders when it comes to healing up tendons and ligaments, whether it be for healing from an injury or just making sure that you stay nice and healthy. Now, all the research is not the most accessible for those of us with visual impairments, but today we're going to go ahead and audibly describe what we're doing in the workout and show you how you can audibly go through an interval timer to make sure that you're doing these protocols appropriately. So what I have here is a very basic interval timer app. It's literally just called interval timer. And this is one I use all the time in the gym in order to make sure that I'm resting and recovering appropriately, doing things for a certain amount of time, or in this case, doing my recovery protocols at the right amount. So what you can do is you can set up the timer for 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, which is the example that we're going to be using today. Typically, it's about 10 seconds of an isometric contraction, and you're being able to do that, let's say every minute on the minute for 10 minutes, and that's enough loading to get the signal through to your body. We're gonna go a little bit longer just to account for being able to get in these different positions with these lunges, squats, different things that we're gonna be doing. And then I'm gonna have 15 seconds off in order to account for knowing where I am in my rest period, and then also knowing when to switch legs for unilateral things like the lunges that we're gonna be holding. So this is a very handy tool that beeps, it's very audibly accessible, and it's gonna be running during our entire follow-along workout. Okay, there's a couple of different moves that we're going to be using in order to load the knees. We're going to start easy and make it more difficult. I have my jerk blocks here, these big boxes in my garage gym that I'm going to use for a bit of a balance point whenever I need it. Remember, we don't want to be focused on balance during this or be wobbling around. We want to load our tendons and make sure this is on tension for the appropriate amount of time. Exercise number 1 is going to be a quarter squat. I find this very helpful for being able to just ease people in. So we're going to do 2 rounds of holding a quarter squat. Just think if you're going to do like a vertical jump, sitting your butt back and down, keeping a nice tight core, and then placing even pressure on your feet. We're going to be holding that. Then after a couple rounds, we are going to progress to a full squat. So I'm going to get down as much as possible. I could put my hamstrings on my calves and round my back and just hang out, but I want to make sure everything is still under tension. So make sure that the knees are coming forward, hips coming back and down, and we're approaching depth, but we're not to the point where we're actually resting down there. We want to be under tension still. Okay, so that's going to be our full squat or below parallel squat. Next, we're going to be having single leg lunges. So I'm going to use my balance point. Again, make sure I'm not wobbly whatsoever. I'm going to step one leg back, one leg forward. I'm going to let that back knee descend down as I let that front knee come forward, letting those hips descend toward the ground. I'm going to hang out here, make sure that I'm loading my ankle, my knee, and my hip really well. And the backside is actually going to be getting a little benefit as well. Then we're going to be switching sides, going back and forth. And then last is going to be a Cossack squat lunge. So that's just going to be a side-to-side lunge. So I'm going to widen that stance, pretend I'm a sumo wrestler standing nice and tall. I'm gonna come down a little bit, and then I'm gonna sit into one of my legs, letting the other leg go nice and long. You're probably gonna feel a bit of a stretch in the groin of that leg that goes nice and long, and focus on getting most of your weight on that bent leg that you're lunging sideways into. This is really gonna open up the side compartments of your hips and make sure those are staying nice and healthy as well. All right, so our protocol, just so you know, is going to be 2 rounds of quarter squats, 15 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Same thing with our full squats. And then we're nice and warmed up in order to do our lunges, where I'm gonna back in, have my good support, so I'm not worrying about balance whatsoever. I'm gonna do 15 seconds with my left leg, and then I'm going to rest 15 seconds because my back leg is working a little bit as well. I'm gonna do 15 seconds on my right leg. I'm gonna repeat that for 4 total rounds because that's really the meat and potatoes of this isometric protocol. Then I'm gonna finish off with 1 set of 15 seconds per side on the Cossack squats, again with 15 seconds in between, just to keep my bearings. But, of course, even though that's only like 8 or 10 minutes, it's gonna get a little bit boring. So, with Caneandablefitness, Fitness, we try to make sure that fitness is accessible for everyone with visual impairments, and I get a lot of questions from people around the world. So, my wife is gonna be behind the camera asking some of those questions. So, maybe we won't get a little bit too bored or holding these isometric positions and getting all the benefit out of this. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and start our timer. And I'm gonna go into my quarter squat. All right, what's our first question?
Why did you start Caneandablefitness? Fitness?
I started Caneandablefitness Fitness because I had a lot of people doubt me in grad school when I was there with a visual impairment. Go ahead and rest. I was getting a lot of questions of like, why are you here? And people kind of trying to treat me as a mascot in the gym because I had a cane and still doing some stuff. And I was like, man, if I'm this capable and this accredited and I'm being doubted this much, how bad is it for everybody else? So I made sure to start Caneandablefitness Fitness in order to start empowering a lot of other visually impaired people when it comes to their fitness journey around the world. Okay, we are close to that 30-second rest. We're gonna go into 1 more quarter squat. Make sure you're flexing those feet nice and well. Also, don't let those arches come down. And what's our second question?
What is your #1 tip for someone trying to get into the gym?
That's a good one. And rest. My #1 tip for people starting to get into the gym is make sure to start small. A lot of people with visual impairments especially get really overwhelmed with all the different options and worried that other people are judging them, all that stuff. Just make sure to start nice and small. We actually have a free gym acclimation program that's on the main page of our website on purpose in order to make sure that people are able to start easing into the gym with little independence building tasks day by day. And people have had a lot of success with that. All right, full squat. Now here, again, make sure those knees are really shoving out. We're able to load those, the hips, the feet and ankles as well. Keep nice and strong there. And make sure you're not supporting with your hands. This is gonna be a good one for really being able to build that bottom position and then fire back up. We got 30 seconds more rest. Another question?
What are the most important adaptations you make to compete in strongman with a visual impairment?
Okay, got 50 seconds more rest. For those of you who don't know, I do compete in the sport of strongman. If you don't know what that is, it's where you have to pull trucks and lift logs overhead and pick up stones and crazy stuff like that. And I love how much we have to adapt in order to get ready for things like that. And down for a squat. We just actually did a competition where we had people having to bang on the bar that we had the lift sandbags up and over, and then I had to run back to a sandbag that my wife was actually yelling bag, 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 bag in order to give me an audible cue. Go ahead and stand back up. And that worked really, really well. And actually the promoters quieted the crowd to get ready for that one and make sure that it was even more accessible for me. That was a huge one. And then running through each event and tapping through with my cane and understanding the space, taking that extra minute before I start is also one of the best adaptations. Feeling a little bit more calm and understanding of where the heck everything is and how I need to flow through the event. All right, let's go ahead and start our lunges. Left leg forward first. Make sure we're really focusing on that balance. A lot of people tend to tightrope with these. Make sure your left foot and knee are straight out from that left hip. Same thing out the back with that right side. And rest. Remember, we got 15 seconds rest before we switch sides. That way we're able to not have to worry about balance nearly as much and give ourselves that little bit of rest since the backside is slightly working as well. All right, first set on the right side, down into your lunge. What's our next question, honey?
What is the coolest thing you've lifted?
It's not quite lifted, but there was a semi-truck with a trailer rest loaded with an extra bunch of, like, I think it was 12,000 extra pounds of pallets of bricks. So it was like 37,000 pounds in total. I didn't perform the best necessarily, but I got it moving. I completed the whole thing. Okay, left side again. And that was really cool to say that I've done. All right, if we're getting a little bit of a burn going on, remember, you can take an extra 15-second rest if necessary. But you will get callous these isometrics pretty quickly. All right, so our left side done again. Waiting for our right side. We'll get another question once I'm on my right side again. 2. There we go. All right. Any other questions?
What are your top tips for people who are blind trying to program workouts?
That's one that I get all the time, rest. When it comes to programming workouts, a lot of people who have come to me with visual impairments have had trainers in the past who ask them to do everything all over the gym, whether it be a super or tri-set or giant set, where you're having to do a bunch of different things in like a circuit, left leg. And the big problem with that is it turns the workout more into stress about finding the next machine. I'm hoping that the machine you were just on that you have to go back to isn't taken again. Things like that. Rest. So what I really love having people do is do a lot of one thing at one time and then move on to the next thing. A big example of that is like clusters or time things like this, where you're just doing one thing well in the same area and then moving on. Okay, make sure you're on your right leg now. So something along the lines of a base building thing, like 8 sets of 8 with some light weight with just 30 seconds of rest, or going off an interval timer and doing a set every 45 seconds. I actually just started out a blind person programming with that in order to build their base really big, get 64 high quality reps in before they move to the next thing. One more round of lunges here. Another thing I really like having people do is be able to do a lot in the same area so you don't have to transport around the gym so much. So we have actually entire like 10x5 workouts where you're able to get a full body workout in the same squat rack, claim that, and just stay there. And rest. One more on the right side, we'll move on to our Cossack squats. Next question.
What competitions or goals are you training for now?
So we just finished a practice competition in Mooresville, North Carolina. Should be in your right leg now. And hopefully on Monday, in a couple days here, we're shooting this on Friday, they're actually announcing the events for the Adaptive Strength World Championships, which is going to be at Official Strongman Games in Dallas or Arlington, Texas here. So we're getting ready for that in November. But first, got to hit my honeymoon and have a nice deload just walking around Europe for that first. All right, I'm going to step forward here. We're going to do our Cossack squats to the side, into my left leg, get that right leg nice and long. We got any other questions?
How long have you been lifting with Strongman?
I started Strongman in 2017 after a buddy told me, you keep doing all these weird lifts in the gym, you should try Strongman. I was like, oh yeah, that does ring a bell. So I've been doing that ever since. Okay, into our right leg now. And if you're noticing asymmetries with the forward lunges or the side-to-side lunges, then go ahead and note that, and that's probably something to work on with other supplementary exercises. Make sure to comment if you need any help on that. And rest. That does it for our Cossack squats and the rest of our interval workout. Any other questions?
Who's your favorite Strongman?
I don't know. I don't even know if that was on the list, was it? I don't know, I like a lot of them. I get a little old-timey and love the intensity of like a Bill Kazmaier. I get way too nerdy in the weeds with this. But there's actually some people who I'm friends with now who are adaptive strongmen who do some crazy stuff that I can't even comprehend how they do it. There's some people who even like have one operable arm, roll a stone into their lap, pick it up that way, all kinds of crazy stuff. So anybody who most lately I've witnessed do something crazy that took a lot of dedication to get to that point is going to be tops in my mind at that point. So, all right, I am good and out of breath. That'll get you where you need to go, especially here in the South Carolina heat. But hopefully you guys are now able to understand how to make an interval workout that's audible and hit the certain positions in order to customize some isometrics for your needs. Remember, look into those resources and start understanding this premise a little bit more. You could remix this for any body part, really. We're actually about to shoot some stuff for guide dog users. That's gonna be really helpful for starting to build some different capacities for people who tend to get really beat up by using a guide dog. So this can help you with all kinds of different issues. Just make sure that you're looking at taking a little bit of collagen, some vitamin C, all that stuff to have that in your bloodstream and get the most out of isometrics. Thank you all for joining me with this isometric workout, and hopefully it makes a little bit more sense and you're able to apply it and access this information and really cool new research better yourself. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot those in the comments below, or you can always reach out to me at caneandablefitness, spelled C-A-N-E and A-B-L-E fitness @gmail.com.